As many people know, the Great Depression was a devastating time for the U.S. and many different countries throughout the world. This time brought decline on industrial production, prices went down, bringing deflation. Many people became unemployed, leaving them to have to leave their homes or do whatever they can to provide their families. Banks were known to fail, and lots of people didn't trust banks because they would lose their whole life income and stuff like that. And and when they lost this money, it caused them to lose their homes. Through all of this, the worst thing was the fact that it harmed many, if not all, Americans. The United States then had to find ways to recover from the Great Depression. In this video, I will explain some of the ways they did recover. Franklin Roosevelt was a presidential candidate in 1932 and never revealed his actual plans on what to do for the country. He instead always referred to a New Deal. Roosevelt was known as a politician who knew how to stretch a principle. He was known for explaining that it's normal to try, and if that idea failed, then to try again and admit that you're wrong. He also explained that if anything, just at least try once. All people loved Franklin Roosevelt as they all saw him as a nice politician rather than a rude politician. New deals tend to bring good and bad effects, but many people trusted that Roosevelt would bring the good effects. Soon he was elected. One of the first things he was known to do was shut down all banks in America for a few days. This allowed for the panic of losing life savings to decline. People were afraid that they would lose their life savings, but once the bank closed, it was easier for them to chill about it. After a few days passed, Congress passed the Emergency Banking Act. This made it so all banks had to be reopened, but they also had to be inspected and tested before they were opened again. Roosevelt also tried to control money by ending prohibition. This allowed for the government to tax alcohol again, which eliminated the cost of enforcement. Many more acts were passed to aid in the recovery of the U.S. Another big important movement focused on recovery in the industry. This allowed for the National Recovery Administration to be made. This administration allowed for labor, hours, and wages to have codes for businesses. Overall, the United States really was impacted by the Great Depression, but the recovery for the United States was a lot smoother than other countries around the world. This was caused through the trust in politicians and the hard-fighting citizens who knew what they wanted best for the country.